right. Well, joining me now, Pennsylvania Democratic Senator John Fetterman. Senator Fetterman, great to have you here today. You know, I want to start with the news that's happening on the Hill, the Save America Act. Where do you stand on that?
Well, where we stand, I mean, we don't even have the Republicans on their side. And I want to thank you guys for running all those clips about Democrats to nuke the filibuster. I mean, you know, all the Democrats, we wanted to nuke the filibuster. I mean, and I campaigned on it too. So, I mean, we were very wrong about that, to nuke the filibuster, and we should really humble ourselves and remind people that. And now we wanted to eliminate it. Now we love it. Now we love the filibuster. So that's a fact where we are now. So where I'm at, and now as your prior guest pointed out, 84% of Americans have no idea with presenting IDs to vote. So it's not like a radical idea. It's not something, and there already are many states that show basic ID. So that's where we are in the Senate. So I would never refer to the SAVE Act as like Jim Crow 2.0 or some kinds of conspiracy. But that's part of the debate that we were having here in the Senate right now, and I don't call people names or imply that it's some kinds of things, something gross about the terrible history of like Jim Crow.
So you're not there on the Save America Act specifically just yet, but you're there on the principle of voter ID. Is that what I'm hearing?
What I'm saying, though, that states, whether it's like Georgia or other states, you know, you have ID to vote. That's not a radical idea. Now, some people can agree or disagree on that, but it is not a radical idea. And many states already do that. And Wisconsin already ratified that in their constitution. Wisconsin elected a very liberal justice, and now almost 2-1, they voted to produce ID to vote and put it in their constitution. Wisconsin, you have Baldwin, very liberal, and Johnson, very conservative. I mean, that's part of the pull and push about the American democracy.
Senator, I want to ask you about a rising star in your party. I think she's going to try to run for president. I'm speaking of AOC. She had some remarks on the world stage this week as she tries to take a foray into foreign policy. Listen to this.
I wanted to know if you think that the Democratic presidential candidate in the 2028 elections should reevaluate military aid to Israel.
I mean, to me, this isn't just about a presidential election. Personally, I think that the United States has an obligation to uphold its own laws, particularly the Leahy laws. And I think that, personally, that the idea of completely unconditional aid, no matter what one does not make sense. I think it enabled a genocide in Gaza.
She talks about a genocide, but I have a Jerusalem Post headline this week that Iran is shooting protesters in their hospital beds, but she makes no mention of that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Why is she so eager to criticize and find a way to criticize Israel? But I don't really recall them saying anything as Iran was executing thousands and thousands of their protesters for that. Now, there was never any genocide in Gaza, absolutely. And there shouldn't ever be any conditions for aid for Israel because they were in an existential war. That's part of the problem with the very anti-Israel part of my party. So call that what it is. Why wouldn't you can't just stand? And why would you align yourself for raging anti-Semitites and very pro-Hamas people like Hassan Piker? And now, why can't you just call it what it is? You know, there's a rot in my party standing with pro-Hamas people like that, whether it's even in the New York Times. They're fascinated with him. So, I mean, where we are and call this is and stand with Israel, that's our special ally, and there was never a genocide. And when there is a genocide where you're executing tens of thousands of people in Iran, why not and call that out too?
Your party also appears to be anti-paying TSA workers. You were the lone vote to fund DHS. We know ICE is already funded. Not a single other Democrat voted to fund TSA. Last time, there were TSA workers sleeping in their cars during the shutdown. Tens of dollars in their bank account is what Tricia McLaughlin told me. What's your message to all of your colleagues?
Well, it's just like, hey, I stand with all the 270,000 government workers that are not going to get paid again. This is the second time. Every Democrat, know that shutting DHS down will not have no impact on ICE. Even the director confirmed to my face in a hearing just this week, saying it has no impact because they already were funded with the big, beautiful bill that I did not vote for that. But what I will say that's now, why are all the Democrats going to shut down our entire DHS, where FEMA and the Coast Guard and our cybersecurity agency, when we all know that it has no impact on ICE or the kinds of changes that we want to reform ICE? So now why can't we just explain to our base and say, look, we could have had another 2 weeks for more kinds of negotiations. We just shut it down. And I refuse to do that. It's wrong to shut our government down, and especially the things that we want, those kinds of reform. We know that's not going to.
Final question, Senator. Sorry, I just want to get this in because we only have about 30 seconds. But some of your colleagues want to boycott the State of the Union. Do you plan on doing that? And what's your message to them on boycotting?
No, I do plan to attend, and I hope that this year they don't put up those silly paddles and all those kinds of weird protests. That's like, you don't have to agree with whatever you're going to hear, but like last year, I mean, it just made us look like children, and just exactly, yeah, thank you. I can see you're referencing that. It's just like, show up or not, but just do that kinds of thing, and like have some dignity, and just we can agree or disagree and not call people names or behave in such ways like that.
We'd all be a lot better off if we acted in that manner, just like you do, Senator Fetterman. So thank you so much for being here.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.